Says we're live. Hey, everybody, welcome. Thanks for
Hi
stopping
there.
in. And got a very special panel tonight, a special guest. Father Fish did his, half of his regular stream tonight. And then he went over to Suzy Q's, Q Aquatics. And now he's over here with us. So what's left of him, we got him for the next hour.
Making a night of it, right? Well, I started with scoping out with Dave at 5 o'clock.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
That went badly for an hour.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I did hear a reference to that. I came in yours at 6 and was there maybe 10 or 15 minutes and then realized I had to get out of there.
Finally got it working at about 6 o'clock.
Yeah, now those comments make sense.
Right.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody in the chat and welcome mods. And I don't say welcome members anymore. I stopped having members, Father Fish. So now I'm on the right side of the law again.
Now, Bob, do you know Dina? Dina, do you know Bob?
No, I don't, but I was just going to ask her to introduce herself. Can I blow you up just a little bit so we can?
Now you're big.
It's nice to see you guys. I like to do lives with Father Fish and like to make my own little videos sometimes when I get time.
Yeah, and she's a good resource. I've been listening to her on Susie's and the previous stream. So it's Psycho
Plant
Yeah.
Lady.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that one as a joke. Crazy plant lady was taken.
Oh, okay.
So you elevated to Psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That was awesome.
Well, welcome. We're thrilled to have you, and thank you for
Thanks.
helping Dr. Father Fish. We appreciate it. And Webb's here.
I think it's nice to be
Really
here.
good.
Good to be with. Nice to see you.
Yeah. He's been up there clearing all those trees and stuff off from the storms up in Chicagoland.
Yeah. He's in Whip's in Chicago, yeah. Now, Whip, I could really relate to your last video that you did. I did the same thing. I did the exact same thing out in my upper tier pond. I left the hose on, came in and made dinner. When I went out afterwards, there was 7 goldfish that had died, and they were all at least 12 inches big. I was heartbroken.
Man.
It's happening more and more to me. I think, I don't want to say it's because I'm old, but I think there's something going on that's
There's a
I think
trick.
I'm doing too much.
There's a trick to preventing that.
What's the trick?
The trick is you turn the hose on trickle,
Oh.
and you can leave it on all day long. You can leave it on permanently. But
I
it's
like that.
a slow trickle, and it's safe, and it refreshes the water. The chlorine precipitates out.
Oh, wow.
There.
Come on.
I'll have to try. Oh, there's Floyd.
Yeah,
Oh, he's so cute.
I don't think he knows the 2 new people's voices, so he was over there being nonchalant,
Hey,
making those
Floyd. Yeah. You
noises.
better watch out. Floyd's going to turn around and show you his butt.
He's so cute.
Isn't he?
See ya.
Say hello.
Hey,
He's so cute. Hi, Floyd.
He's turning 43 next week.
Oh, my.
wow.
Yeah. Say hey. No.
Hi
I
there.
didn't realize he lived that long. That's amazing.
Oh, way longer.
Yeah, they can live to
Wow.
100.
Like 80.
I've heard everywhere from 50 to 75 to 80. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know that anybody's outlived him to record it,
Right.
but he's gone on now. He's satisfied. So I didn't have a topic, and I just wanted to continue kind of with what you were doing, talking about planted tanks. And I'd like to hear some of the stories that weren't successful and maybe find out what happened and, why they were. They're pretty bulletproof, but some people don't have luck with.
Yeah, and it can be
tanks.
hard. It can be hard to figure out why when it doesn't work. I think one of the things that happens is people don't get their tank adequately. I don't want to use the word balanced, because even though that's what it is, that has connotations there that are all about chemistry. And the issue is not chemistry, it's biology. It's a matter of having a food web of one type or another, having enough organic activity going on at the tank to be able to provide the nutrients, to create the nutrients. Nutrients are not fertilizer. That's not a nutrient. A nutrient is is a biologically created element that that is a that grows by virtue of the relationship between the plant and the bacteria near the root. So that plant will send out a hormone and it'll trigger a certain bacteria to create to eat something. And when it eats that whatever it is, it creates an element that the plant can then absorb. And it does that based on whether it's growing roots or stems or leaves or flowers, different hormones for each one. So to get that kind of system going, you need organic material and bacterial activity in the substrate. So you can't just set up a brand new, clean, sterile tank and throw some plants in it and expect anything other than everything's going to die. That's what the deep substrate, what the dirted substrate is really all about. It's about bringing organic life into the tank so that when you get that off, all you're really doing is preventing that from rising up into the water column. And when you put plants in, you put them in about halfway into the sand. And then very quickly, those little roots will find nutrients. Now, in a brand new tank, if you put them all the way down into the dirt, there is so much chemical activity going on in that dirt in an early tank. It's a process called chelation, where chemicals interact with each other. And they do so until they finally resolve their conflict and kind of balance out and create a stable environment. Then the plants can grow into it. Prior to that, they're just kind of dipping their toe into it to get enough to be able to survive. So the issue is that understanding that that's what needs to happen means you do a certain number of things that'll create an environment for that. You know, I'm running a test right now in my store. I've got new people that help me set up tanks. We got a bunch of 10-gallon tanks. Well, in some cases, they did not level out the dirt before they put the sand in. So they've got mounds like this in the dirt. Then you put the sand in. Well, some of that dirt is less than an inch from the top. That's going to erupt right through the sand into the water column. In other cases, they made the sand so deep that the plants are not going to be able to get down into it. So and now what's happened is they've been feeding the few fish I've got without anything much going on in the tank. No plants, no real life going on. The food is not being eaten. It's rotting and the fish are dying. So I'm trying to teach my staff how to be sensitive to all of these issues as we get these tanks up and going. Put me back with everybody else.
Oh, okay. Well, you saw Floyd shut up.
Yeah, Dana had to go. She was tired.
Oh, okay. Well, I saw the comment about the questionnaire for those that did and didn't work. Well, I had one that did great and one that never would take off. And I did them the same, I thought. The only difference might have been is that I had established plants in the first one. And it did well until I broke it down. I had it probably 5 years.
Yeah, probably so. The thing that happens with established plants is that they have an adequate root system. When you pull them out, all of the cilia break off. The cilia are the tiny little hairs that actually are what absorbs nutrients. So when you pull them out, that's what the dirt is attached to. So if you shake the dirt off and you're breaking all of those cilia off, which really is not a problem because once you put the plant back in, the cilia spring right out again in a day. So you really don't hurt the plant by doing that. But the established root, which is able to generate those cilia, will be able to feed right away. Whereas with new plants that have been through some rough times, typically a lot of those roots have died off. If the root system is brown or black, it's dead. And it's not gonna grow. You need white root to on a rooted plant, the root needs to be white. If it's not white, it won't grow. Now it can make new roots, but in the process, it may lose all of its leaves. We were talking about this earlier. If all of the leaves melt on a plant, leave that root down in there because it's not dead. The leaves are gone, but the crown, the tuber, the roots are still there, and they're still going to grow as they're able to increase and grow more. They eventually will get to the place where they'll be able to grow stems and then leaves, but that could take months.
That makes sense.
Yeah, a couple of times.
A couple of times, yeah. And Floyd's moved us down to Costa Rica or somewhere, but he'll try to be quiet. He likes these new voices, so he has to interact. Okay, well, I know you're not supposed to fertilize at all, but uh, complete transparency on my 40 breeder that I did use well-rooted plants, stem plants. I did have to add a little bit of weak fertilizer, like half dose co-op stuff, the green stuff,
How often did you do that?
every 2 weeks or so. Not
Did
very
you?
much. It just took that little bit to top it, and I knew that I wasn't supposed to. But then the 33 I did, the plants all wilted. I left, cleaned the stuff out. I had fish that were fine, and I left them down in the sand and in the soil, but they never came back. Never did. So moved on to a different kind of tank with that. But yeah, I love the one that did well for me. It was great. There was a question, I thought. Did you guys see a question?
I think there are a couple questions.
You
Will
see-
plants that are melting into a newly set up and sand substrate spring back, or will the sand need to build up the nutrients and bacteria?
Well, the roots are going to find nutrients, so they will work their way down to a nutrient level, so long as it's there. If the sand is too deep, they may struggle to do that. But if you've got a 1 inch dirt layer, a couple inches of sand, and you put those plants down an inch, they only need to go a quarter to a half an inch because the soil rises up into the sand to the level of its depth. If you have an inch of soil, within a month or two, it'll rise up an inch in the sand. So there are going to be nutrients that'll be accessible to those plants.
Now, do fish play a part in the nutrient load?
Sure, primarily for like stem plants, floating plants, that sort of thing. They need to get their nutrients out of the water column, and that's where the fish come in.
Okay.
The fish provide an astounding amount of nutrient, much more than you might think. So that whatever plants you have that are dependent upon getting their nutrients out of the water column. So long as you have a few fish, half a dozen little tetras, I mean, it really does not take much.
Yeah.
There will be enough nutrient in there for those plants to survive. Plants are survivors. They can survive in some pretty dire conditions. And
There
they
was
and they can thrive in very limited conditions.
there was some short discussion about using fluorite with plants.
Ooh.
Well, fluorite provides. I mix 12 different elements in my supplement to provide all of the various nutrients that the plants are going to need, and I provide it in sufficient quantity that, like with iron, for example, that it'll be there for years, because it takes years for that complete cycle to really fully develop.
Wow. Yeah, it does take a little while.
I know it's not everybody's favorite topic, and if something else of more interest comes up, please take that question. But I'm always a little bit, I understand what the terminology means, anaerobic and aerobic bacteria, but the application of that sometimes is a little confusing.
I want to hear what Web's got to say.
I know.
Is he being funny? Whip, are you muted?
You must be. I'm not muting him.
I'm not hearing him. That's,
No, that's perfect.
there was something wrong.
Sam, I was out riding my motorcycle today. That's what the braids are. It was a beautiful day for a bike ride. So I took my bike, put my roller skates in the back, and went to the skate park. That's what I did today.
Yeah, got you.
Ah, yes. Very good.
Oh, he said you look like Pocahontas. Well, that's a nice compliment.
Well, that is very nice.
Yeah, Whip is muted somehow.
Not from this side.
Got to be on his side.
I think he's gaming.
All right, Whip, I'm going to teach you sign language, okay?
Uh-oh.
Because this happens enough. No, this is okay. Okay. Yeah. Oh, Father Fish, we have sign language. Look at that. There we go. American Sign Language.
Last time we couldn't.
It's going before.
We couldn't, yeah, the time before we couldn't get picture or sound.
Oh, that's why. Okay. Que interesante. This is his father. Was a teacher. Yeah. Wow.
Father Fish used to work with because once I read your profile, I never forget. He used to work with a choir that was deaf
Ah.
many moons ago. That's what he said.
I took American Sign Language in college for several years. I wanted to be a translator, but then I had 4 kids and it was hard. What do people breed here? I've been wanting to do cories. Now that I know how easy it is, vids on YouTube, coolie loaches would be neat. All I have is guppies now, but I used to try to breed one. There you go.
Coolies are an easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, all you have to do is create a rock pile.
Oh, really?
Make a little rock pile in your tank for them to go into and protect their spawn and their fry.
How old do they have to be before they start being interested in that?
Well, they got to be mature, so a couple of inches. You need mature ones.
I have mature ones. I'm going to try it. I'm going to build a rock pile.
A little rock pile. Yeah, you'll be amazed. It's almost automatic.
Ah,
Now,
Well,
you
I'm-
need to make sure they're eating protein. They need high protein diet to create eggs.
I said do. I do bloodworms every once in a while.
Yeah, bloodworms are good.
Okay.
Apparently, Super Cichlids is going to be maintaining and marketing live blackworms
Oh, wow.
by the pound. They're setting up a system to be able
Ooh.
to maintain them. They have a breeder that they're buying from like 50 pounds at a crack.
That's going to be a hot topic because people all over this area are looking for that.
I know it. Everybody is.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. I finally got a little bit. I've got some going in a vat.
Do you?
Yeah.
In an actual shallow tank, or do you have them?
I set up a 20-gallon vat with sand in the bottom and some dirt and a little bit of dirt on top. And threw a half pound in.
Okay.
I've been.
How much water?
Pardon?
How much water? The whole tank?
Yeah, pretty much with an air stone.
Yeah.
And it's so far it's only been a week, but it's working out pretty well. They can be a bear to keep. I think the only way to, if you're keeping them to sell, it's a problem. If you're keeping them to feed, it's a lot easier because you need to keep them in some kind of strata, which means sand or dirt,
Right.
and you can't sell them that way. The very best way to keep them is in burlap.
Really?
Yeah, they thrive in burlap because it breaks down. Bacteria break it down. It provides nutrient for the worm. But when you go to harvest it, you got burlap in mixed in with the worm. And if you're selling that to customers, they don't like burlap with their worms.
Okay.
Right. Right.
So Daniel wants to know how often does he have to feed the coolies to get them breeding ready? He's got a group in a heavily planted 10-gallon aquarium.
Feed them every day.
Okay.
If you're feeding live food, feed them every day, because live food's not going to foul the water. If you're not, then you need to be much more careful.
Okay.
Did you get your audio up with?
Yeah, it's working now.
Woo!
Yay.
All right.
I have two colonies. One of them's dying out, though, I'm sure. So I'll say I have one colony of bloodworms, and they were self-starting. The one I've got left was to grow some plecos out, I don't know, maybe 3 years ago.
Oh, nice.
3 years ago. And it's the leaf litter that I put in there, I figured out.
Wow, good, yeah.
That's nutrient rich, yeah.
I just harvest some of them out occasionally for special things, because they really are great treats. So I hope it keeps going.
Yeah, I hope it does too.
Now Bob is muted for some reason. I should be unmuted.
No, you're not muted. I hear you.
Sam's trying to mess.
No, you're not. You're not.
Sam is messing with you.
That's
Yeah,
Huawei. That's Huawei. And Floyd was saying that Huawei when I had him muted a while ago.
Danielle Ingrid said, my food web is set pretty well in the tank. It's my most fertile tank. How often for feeding frozen and prepared foods then? I do feed all my tanks from a big resurrection jar.
Okay, so if you're providing food for your food web, then depending on what fish you have and what their nutritional needs are, you may not need to do much of anything else. The trick is it's really difficult to get enough of a food web going naturally to be able to feed a large number of fish or bigger fish.
Okay.
Because their food requirements are greater than the amount of food you can actually grow in the tank. But if you got a lot of little fish, like 20, 30 little fish in a 29-gallon tank with an inch or so food web, and are feeding it routinely, and that means putting leaves in it every week.
So you're feeding the actual web.
Yeah, exactly. You have to. You
Right.
got to put food in the tank. The only issue is what kind of food you're going to put in.
Right.
And if you're feeding the microfauna and the macrofauna with leaves, then you're providing that as food for the fish.
Fish Dreams is asking, he's hatching out brine shrimp and he wants to add a second live food. What would be an easy choice for small to medium fish?
The simplest is to go to the supermarket and buy some frozen shrimp or a piece of frozen fish, scrape it with a knife, frozen, and just put those tiny particles in the tank.
Oh,
It's a cheap food. It's a high quality food. It's not something that's been sitting in a frozen pack for a year to 2 years. It's fresh.
you know what I like to do because I have chickens in the backyard is egg yolk.
Oh, wow.
I do a hard boiled egg yolk and just a little tiny pinch in all the tanks, and they go crazy for that.
Yeah, that's a great food.
Vinegar eels. I can't talk.
Vinegar eels are easy. You just need a culture to get started.
So, Whip, now that you're back, we saved that question about.
No, you didn't. I heard you answer it. We're moving on.
I missed the answer. Okay.
Be right back.
I'll just go being ignorant.
Whip, did you ride your bike today?
I did not. I did this.
Oh, okay.
I spent all 2 days moving the old stand, had to get that tank down, broke down, filled back up, moved over to the new tank, and then I brought another 130 down. So it's been a work in progress here.
When you said I did this, I thought you were talking about your hair. You've been working on your hair. It
No, I didn't do anything with it.
looks good.
It does, especially you had a fan on before. Your hair was like blowing in the wind.
Yeah, like a model.
It's still on.
Oh, is it?
Like a model.
There you go, Fabio.
But yeah, this
I love it.
I finally got my
Beautiful.
So I
Look
can-
at that.
I can open up down here and access it was 5 years. Those canisters were down there for 5 years. I couldn't get to them.
So you didn't clean them for 5 years, right?
Nope.
Oh, good. I got 3 more years to go then. Yikes. Now look at how
Yeah.
crystal clear this is. Now it's been 2 years and I have not been able to clean the canister yet. Yikes.
My 180 keeps getting, it clears up and then it gets dark. It's dark right now over there.
Yeah.
Do like 50% water changes and it gets darker, then it clears, then it gets dark. I've got all kinds of filtration on it. I've even got Purigen in a couple of my hang-on bags, so I don't know what's going on.
What does Purigen do? I don't know this.
It's well, the one I have is it's just an ultra, I'm going to say it wrong, and
It's rosin.
yes, and it's different than carbon. It's very absorbent and filtering. You just have to have a little small flat bag of it, for the water to pass through, and it'll really polish your water.
Is it like a rock? Is it like a part from a volcanic rock?
No,
Same idea though.
right.
It's it's an absorbent.
Okay.
It'll really clean it. It's not cheap. It's not ultra expensive, but I've got some somewhere. I can't. Floyd's about to show his hind. You know,
He
flew
did.
over.
He was shaking his tail feathers for us.
Isn't Purigen something you can reactivate or like a couple times anyway?
With bleach, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
I'm gonna try that with it and see what happens.
Wow.
You
I like
got to
it.
make sure you rinse the bleach really well.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue.
Will said he thought, Whip, that you were related to Robert Plant.
Yeah, I wish.
I know, right? That'd be a pretty cool family reunion.
Right?
While you were away, Lou, Whip said what I'll do then is I'll just debate him about what's anoxic and oxic.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
debate
yeah,
that.
let's do this,
Yeah,
Whip.
let's get into it. That's good.
Yeah.
What's your take on that anoxic?
Say it one more time.
What is your take on anoxic, the use of the term anoxic?
Well, isn't that where you leave it alone and it's kind of like stuck underneath the substrate, and a lot of people were afraid to break that seal because it would leak up into the tank and kill your fish, but that's pretty well been debunked unless you really get a huge bubble of it, right? The anoxic stuff.
Yeah, even then, the bubble is really going to be nitrogen gas or
Right.
carbon dioxide. It's not going to be sulfuric acid.
That was a worry like 10, 12 years ago that never really amounted to anything.
Yeah, a lot of fear tactics that are out
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Fear tactics so that you get more filters and do less natural.
exactly.
Yeah.
And anoxic defines an environment that has very limited oxygen. It's not utterly lacking in oxygen. The difficulty is it's a word that's used in metallurgy and the earth sciences. It defines, for example, the difference between a rock in space or a rock on the earth. A rock in space would have no oxygen. A rock on the earth would have very limited oxygen.
Oh.
The trouble with the term in its application to a biological environment is that it really doesn't mean anything. It's kind of it's a fancy word to throw around to impress people.
The first I heard of it or knew about it was being an old nurse, and then I see patients become anoxic. It's really thrown around as a brick because they obviously have oxygen in them, but if they become anoxic, it's dropped below a certain level.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exactly right. You know, and we could define a tank that's crashing as anoxic. You know, that'd be a legitimate application of the word. But I think it tends to create more confusion than real understanding.
It is in my case because that's kind of where I get lost when people talk about anoxic bacteria. And
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So Alec is saying, hey, in boiled water will give you infusoria with some sun.
Not so long as it's boiling, it won't.
So you boil it and then you stop it, or you just get it warm?
You don't need to boil it at all.
No, you just put hay.
Just put grass in water and you'll get infusoria.
I put hay in my pond all the time.
Right, same difference. Exactly.
Yeah.
The
I
farmer
never thought to do that in my fish tank.
The farmers in Florida use a grain meal. It's an oat grain meal that they seed their ponds with. After they kill everything, they poison the pond with a poison that dissipates instantly. It just wipes everything out, and then they throw this soy material in it, and it creates just a flush of microsoria, and then they put their baby fish in. So the baby fish are able to glut themselves and feed very quickly and begin growing very quickly.
what's the purpose of killing the pond first? Is that just to get rid of the things that might prey on the little fish?
Yeah, parasites and the like, sure. Yeah.
That's
Those
what they call
ponds-
nuking your tank. You got to nuke it before you reset it.
Well, they're outdoor ponds.
Right.
So they get everything in them.
Yeah,
And
mine
if they
sure
put
do.
all their babies in that without doing that, the population of babies would be down to nothing pretty quickly.
Speaking of outside ponds, do you have any outside ponds, Lou?
I've got a bunch of vats. I don't have a pond. I don't have anything in the ground.
Do you have the things breeding in those vats?
Just plants at this point.
Okay.
I had a few. I've got some platies, nothing serious. I haven't really. I, I was too late getting into it in the spring, and now it's almost too late to do anything.
Right.
Although our winters have been really
Mild.
very mild.
Yeah, that might mean that this year it won't be. If we've had 2 winters that are mild back to back.
Right.
Would
But
adding
I'm
a
building
couple,
up a community of paradise fish, and I am loving it. Oh my God, I love my paradise fish.
Beautiful fish.
Yeah,
Mean buggers, but they are beautiful.
they are mean.
Yeah. Daniel Ingalls. The trick with this, with any kind of nutrient like that, is to do it in very small portions. Because if you do a lot, it'll foul the tank. You'll overwhelm the ability of the tank to be able to assimilate it, and that'll generate bacteria that'll grow out of hand, burn out the oxygen, and cause a crash in the tank.
So if you had a 29-gallon, what are you saying? A small amount, like 1 twig?
No, like a tablespoon.
Okay.
It's just a very small handful.
Okay.
But you do it routinely. You do it like every week or every 3 or 4 days, so that you're building up the ability
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes.
to be able to manage that. It's a bio load issue. So you increase the bio load by gradually building it up.
Oh, that's interesting.
If you do it all at once, then you get what's called a cascade effect, in which 1 thing dies, and then 2 things die, and then 4 things die, and then there's 1 left. There's always 1 left.
I have plenty of kiddie pools in the ground for the frogs and box turtles in the backyard. Throw fancy guppies in them in the summer to eat all the mosquitoes.
Yep.
What state are you in, Willie Bond? I know you can't be in the state of Pennsylvania because we're not allowed to even have box turtles in our yard. Like, woo! I don't even think you're allowed to look at an eastern box turtle in Pennsylvania. Don't look. Just keep on walking. It's just such a shame because they're gorgeous, gorgeous creatures.
They're wonderful. You can get a permit for them.
In Pennsylvania?
In Maryland, you can.
Yeah, I think in Pennsylvania they stopped in 1970 giving out any permits whatsoever for eastern box turtles.
I had somebody bring a colony of them into my shop.
Wow.
That they had for 20 years.
Wow.
They had babies. I mean, they were breeding every year.
Yeah.
They kept them in mud.
And what did you do with them?
I think I must have sold them. I don't remember.
Wow, that's pretty
They went
cool.
out very quickly.
I haven't seen the box turtle that live around here. I have about 2 acres, but I haven't
You haven't
seen.
seen any?
I have one that I knew I could recognize it. I'd see it maybe miss a year, but for the last 25 years, last time was 2 years ago, I think. I remember talking about it, coming in and being excited and being on a live stream and saying, "Oh, I saw the turtle. I hadn't seen it in a couple of years, but I haven't seen it since."
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I've caught it, not caught, but I've caught sight of a couple of them on my property just north of you, making their way through it.
They can climb up the hills like that.
I guess, or they don't go down that far.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they really are.
They are, and they're so diverse. Like if you were going to build an enclosure for them, you have. It's just like I was doing for the wood turtles that I have from Central America. Like they like the pond, the shallow pond. They like the grass. They like you can make a really gorgeous enclosure for them.
You didn't tell me you had wood turtles.
I do. Central American wood turtles, and they're ornate.
It's a love wood turtle.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they're in the water a lot lately, and I think they're mating.
Oh, my.
So
Wow.
that's nice. Alishan says eastern box turtles are very limited home range. They do not move them unless they are in danger, right? And they seem to be one of the turtles that have a very strong internal GPS, and they never stop looking for their home. So if you take them out of the wild and put them in your yard or something, they're in constant torture. They're constant tortured. They just want to go home. They want to go home. So it's almost inhumane to take them out of the wild. But if somebody's already taken them out for 10, 15 years, you don't have much choice. You can't put them back in the wilds.
The gopher tortoise is the same way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to take some video of this one, and I rushed back in with the dogs and got my phone and went back out, and I couldn't find it. And it couldn't have gone 10 feet, if that.
Really?
Oh, you'd be surprised. They're pretty quick.
Well, I know, but I looked and looked and looked, and I got the rake and prodded a little bit, because I have like a natural yard. I mean, I have areas that are mown, but there's lots of places for critters to hide out there.
And what kind of turtle is it?
It's a box turtle.
Oh, you can look down. They dig down. They burrow down.
I couldn't find any holes.
Like you just see a little. Whoop, now you might not even see that little.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And like Father Fish was saying, in the mud, if they find a mud puddle, boom. They hunker down, man. They are amazing. Like it really is one of the most beautiful turtles out there.
Yeah. A couple 100 yards from me, there's a large earthen dam pond, maybe an acre, and I'm sure it hangs around because that's near. I hope it does.
Yeah.
25 years.
Wow. Yeah, it probably didn't go far. Although mine, I think, well, the wood turtles, they constantly do a perimeter of whatever enclosure they're in.
Oh,
Even if it's at 30 foot by 20 foot, they walk the perimeter first to know and then they go about their business.
oh.
But it's funny. I know, like, it doesn't matter how big I make it. That's what they would do. It could have an acre, and they will go around the acre.
That's true. Of
That's
most,
something
I
really-
think almost every turtle, right?
The
I mean,
one I have,
they'll just keep hitting the perimeter looking for a way out.
yeah.
Hmm.
I saw a really sad video a few days ago about, I can't remember what it was. It wasn't a turtle. It might have been a bear or a lion or something larger, but it had been in like a 20 by 20 for 10 years or something.
Oh,
And it'd been rescued and had the sides taken down and had a huge area, but it still paced that same 20 by 20. I thought,
that's so sad.
I guess it had gone crazy, or I don't know. So sad.
Q Aquatics and Exotics. What are the best aquatic turtle foods? The best? Outside, I can't. I don't even think I feed my turtles, like, because they eat whatever lands in the pond. They grab the stuff. Once a week, I give them protein pellets. But I don't have a favorite food for my turtles. Somebody else might know better than me. But I do a little more natural, like what's out there, or like a couple of pieces of, if I have mustard greens, some nice big leafy lettuce. It floats for a while, and then half of it's gone, then it's all gone. So I know they got it all.
John Senek. The detritus is nutrient rich. In a dirted tank that's sand capped, detritus will build up if the sand is not deep enough to handle the volume of detritus that's being created. Detritus is moving through that sand into the substrate all the time, but it may be doing it slower than there is adequate sand to be able to contain it all. So the solution is not to take it out, but to add another half inch to an inch of sand. And usually that's adequate. If you'll do that, then the available detritus will sift down into there, and it should create enough volume then for the whole the continuous creation of that detritus to be able to work its way down into the deeper substrate.
Ah, is that why you said to add a little extra sand in mine in the back? Because the
Yeah, exactly.
okay,
Yeah.
I know it worked like a charm, man. It worked like a charm.
Oh yeah. See, that's what he's saying there about when they see them come out and he feeds them. They're a little tame. That's the same with a lot of the snakes I have now, and the some of the lizards I have. They're like that. But people laugh, when you say, "Oh, your snake doesn't know." Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
They know.
I just I don't feed my dogs or anything chicken because they're already bird dogs, and I like my chickens, and I don't want them to confuse the two. If somebody's saying, "Oh, they like the raw feet, uncooked raw chicken feet," and I'm like, why would I want my dogs to get used to eating raw chicken feet?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Eat my chickens.
Exactly.
And I know it's good for them. And the chicken bones, as long as it's not cooked, are good for dogs. I just can't. I can't do it. That'd be like getting a stuffed animal that looks like my parrot and giving it something to play with. Like, no.
Exactly like that.
Yeah. And I figure I can't break them. It's so instilled in their breed. Like they're part lab and part hound.
Suzy, I may be breeding the rainbow cichlids sooner than later for you because I lost the female to that big pair of
Oh no.
Grammies. Yeah, he built a bubble nest in there, and I went back and reviewed everything and put more plants, and he got right on it and built a bubble nest. And I think she laid, but she died.
I would love some fry.
But I'm going to move him over with my platies and put the two Grammies, the two cichlids in there. Get a clutch going right away.
Ooh.
Rainbow cichlids.
Yes,
Yeah, pretty fish. It's an easy one to spawn.
they are really easy, and they're fun to watch. I don't know if you've had them do it, Father Fish. The one parent will take all the fry away, or they'll split them, and they're just so possessive, and they guard them. Sometimes they break up the clutch even.
I had at one point I was breeding them in. I had a series of acrylic the acrylic road that has like 1 gallon tanks
Oh yeah.
alongside. Somebody brought in like 25 rainbows, that mixed sizes that they had spawned. I was the only place I had to put them, so I separated them out, 2 or 3 in each cell, and they started spawning in those little 1 gallon cells.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think the very first video I made for the fish fam, like on my little YouTube channel, was a big pleco trying to get the eggs from a rainbow cichlid. I think that's just the first or second.
Oh, wow.
The rainbow kept it away too. I don't know what happened at night, but
Yeah.
well, anybody have any questions or comments or?
How did the name Father Fish get started?
No, that's a nice story. I was a minister for many years, missionary. I worked with deaf people, and I retired from that in the mid '80s. Moved to Florida by 1990, and then started messing with fish. So by by 1995 or so, my lanai was converted into a fish room. I had people coming from all over Southwest Florida to visit. Well, there were a couple of guys that came down from the Tampa Club. They're great fish keepers. It's a lot of fun. Um, they came in, they came back a couple of times, and then one day one of them needed to use the bathroom. So he walked in the bathroom and then kind of toured the house. And he saw a picture of me in clerical garb. It was a big photograph. So he came out, and his first reaction was Father Fish. He just threw that out, Father Fish. And he kept it a secret. He didn't tell anybody about the origins of it for, golly, probably 5 years. But I then used it for my store. It just kind of fits so nicely.
Yeah.
And then I just became known as Father Fish.
That's
But
so
that's where it came from.
Well, it's taken on a different meaning or an additional meaning now.
Yeah, I guess. It really has.
Did you say his name was Chuck Davis?
No, but I know Chuck real well.
Because
Chuck,
Alishan just said lots of Chuck Davis stories.
yeah. We had Chuck up to our club meetings all the time.
Oh,
It
cool.
was Jim.
Yep, there's a link for the Discord.
You.
Now, are you ever in your Discord, or you just have you have a lot
I'm
of?
there all the time. Yeah,
Are you?
I'm in it every day. Yeah. Well, it's huge.
It
I
is
know.
massive.
20,000 people.
And there's so many different chats. There's so many different
I
chats.
got lost in that thing. I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
there are people.
Yeah,
that
but if
are
you
all-
get lost in it, there's people that'll come get you and get you where you want to be and get you your answers. It's like such a nice community.
It is. Everybody's nice and polite too, or they're not in there. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's the name of that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get young boys particularly. They're either really wonderful or they're full of piss and vinegar, and they either chill their butts or they're
Yeah.
gone.
yeah,
They pull out their measuring sticks. Look out.
right.
Really.
Yeah. All those hormones.
Well, we really don't tolerate abuse.
Good.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, we'll end up then if nobody.
This was such a nice.
Thank you so much.
Nice.
Nice to be with y'all.
Thank you so much for coming back again. We'll have to not do wait so long. Thank you, Father Fish.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Thank you so
And
much.
I'm going to bring it back to Bucks County Aquarium Society. We're having our big auction next month. So,
When next month?
uh-huh.
Oh, I gotta come up for that.
Oh, it's going to be huge. I'll send you the dates unless Alishan.
And I really want to do that trip on the 10th.
Yeah, that'll be fun too. Let me see. Auction. I'm going to put in just to give you the date because I don't want to get it wrong. September 14th. It's one of the biggest ones in the area. It's really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's a Wednesday.
Is it?
No, September.
Yes.
September. Oh no. Okay.
Okay.
Must be
Because I don't think we would have it on a Wednesday, but
Saturday. Yeah.
that's it.
September 14th is my birthday.
Ooh,
I'm going to be 84.
that's
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I will
That is
come up
awesome.
for that. I will do that.
Many more. Many more.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Daniken's link's there. If anybody wants to head on over there, you might have time to get a quick break too.
Say
Hey.
hey.
Coffee before going over there. Yeah.
Good night.
Right. Good night, all. Thank you.
Good night.